From helicopters flying over jungles to airports on the top of mountains, in today's top 10 add-on video, I've got a diverse collection of fantastic add-ons that you need for Microsoft Flight Sim, most of which you haven't seen on my channel before. But of course the world of Flight Sim add-ons is quite small, meaning most of you may have seen some of these before, but I can guarantee a few of them will take you by surprise. I don't want to keep you here too long, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Let's get right into it. If you like Microsoft Flight Sim and want to stay up to date with all the latest news, updates and releases, be sure to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell to stay up to date. But without further delay, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to kick this video off with a fantastic airport on the beautiful island of New Zealand. We're talking about Rotorua Airport on the North Island in New Zealand. I do apologise if my pronunciation there is wrong. This is an incredibly detailed little airport. Now, it's a regional airport. It suits traffic such as the 737 and A320, with also the capacity to handle helicopters and indeed seaplanes on the lake next to the airport. Now, this is really well detailed. NZA simulations are known for their detail. This is no exception. From a beautiful interior to a fantastic surrounding area with warehouses and the likes of that being modelled, it is really beautiful. A check-in area exists, you know, you can go up the control tower and watch planes. It is really beautiful. But definitely give this one out of 10 out of 10, which is why it's on this list. Now, moving back to the United Kingdom, my home, we move over to one of the most popular general aviation airfields in the UK, Sanddown on the Isle of Wight. Now, this was a last minute entry to this list. I only just found it on flightsim.to this morning, but I was flying around it and I thought, yes, this is great. Now, I wouldn't say it's as detailed as the previous airport, but it's certainly a worthy add-on. The one negative here is that you do have to install quite a few files, drop them all into your community file, but it doesn't take any longer than it would do normally. It's just a bit lumbersome. But aside from that, it's a really beautiful airfield. It has got some great custom made details, from a Cessna that's being taken apart, I'm guessing salvaged for parts, to custom signage, to of course a custom control tower. It is really pretty, you know, it's certainly getting that sort of rustic feel that comes along with general aviation. It's not clean, but it's realistic, and that's why it's in this list. Now, moving over to our next add-on, we move over to the French Alps for probably one of the most difficult airports to fly in that I've ever seen. I spent a good 15 minutes near this airport just trying to find the runway, and then after that another 10 minutes trying to get on the runway. It is really, really interesting. Now, this is Altisurface Notre Dame de la Salette Airport in the Alps, and it literally sits on the top of a mountain. It is absolutely crazy. You're not going to be able to land a 737 on here. I even struggle to land a little Cessna on here. It is great fun, however. Two sort of takeoff ramps. They're not even runways at this point. They're more like ramps, and one landing runway. It is great fun and I highly recommend it. It's not the most detailed, but to be honest, this place is going to be lacking in detail anyway. It's literally a sort of impromptu airport on the top of a mountain with the runways being laid out with rocks. It's really interesting. That's why it's in this list. You can download it down below. It's great fun. Moving over to the final airport in this list, this is probably one you've seen on my channel before. It is great, but I can't give it enough praise. It is Duxford Aerodrome I should say. It is absolutely incredible. The level of detail here is out of this world. Now, unlike the first airport in this video, this one doesn't have an interior, but it certainly makes up for it with the level of detail everywhere. You know, parts of this airport, you could take a photo of it, edit it slightly, and you'd think it's real life, especially when you come towards the front of the airport, with the roads leading in to the kind of back end of the airfield. Now, this is an airfield steeped in history, despite being an RAF base in the past and also being used by the United States Air Force, I believe. Nowadays, it is the famous Imperial War Museum Duxford, and my goodness, it is perfect on Microsoft Flight Sim. Do your own air shows or just look around. You can fall in love with this airport and just spend hours around there. What stands out, of course, would be the British airliner collection on the apron with their recently introduced BAE 146 being on there, so you can see how up to date this airport is. The BAE 146 only being introduced into the real museum a couple of months ago. It's great fun, it's free, and it's certainly payware level. Now let's move away from the airports in this list and move over to some utilities. So the two utilities we've got here in this video are SkyDolly and AirlandFS. Let's start with SkyDolly. Now this is an application that was quite well hidden from me. I didn't see it. I was only alerted to it vaguely a few months ago, and then Practically Geek reminded me about it a few weeks ago, so I've put his channel link in the description. It is the best replay tool out there. I've used it extensively throughout this video to get replay shots. I really do recommend it. It's smooth, and of course it has great features, such as the ability to make formations. Now what makes SkyDolly stand out from all the other flight sim recorder tools? Well, simply put, it's smooth, and it also does this thing with your flights. It sort of puts them in a logbook, and it gets it right, unlike the default Microsoft Flight Sim one. It's certainly the best flight sim recorder out there, and if you want one to record your landings, this is the one. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it's pretty easy to use, and you can find an instruction for it downloaded with it, or of course on the flightsim.to page. Now moving over to our 6th add-on in this list, we're talking about AirlandFS. Now this is an application that allows you to use helicopters. It's as simple as that. I'm going to link my other add-on into it, so number 7, to talk about it. So AirlandFS is an external application that basically introduces helicopter flight models into Microsoft Flight Sim. It's free, and you can of course import your own helicopter flight models to suit other helicopter add-ons. The one we're talking about in this video is the UH-1H Huey, the world famous helicopter, of course most notoriously used in the Vietnam War. Now syncing this up to our previous add-on AirlandFS was relatively seamless. All you need to do is move over the provided for flight model from the Huey into AirlandFS. The instructions can be found on the download. As soon as you load up Microsoft Flight Sim, load up into your helicopter and then turn on AirlandFS, you'll realise you can fly the helicopter how you imagined you could. Microsoft Flight Sim at the moment doesn't have default support for helicopters, so this is the alternative. This is the get around that allows you to fly helicopters, and my goodness does it work. So AirlandFS, if you haven't got it and you want to fly helicopters. Now the Huey helicopter is absolutely beautiful. It's certainly not great in terms of flight model because it's still sketchy with the likes of AirlandFS not fully replicating the flight model, but to be fair, it's probably as good as it can be. It's got a really beautiful external model, a pretty decent cockpit with good animations. It's a very nice helicopter and so fun to do low buzzers of the jungle with, which is what I was doing here in Brunei. It just looks fantastic, although good luck trying to land it for your first time. I still struggle with it. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, I'll crash the helicopter, but that's a story for another day. Now moving over to our last 3 add-ons, these are all aircraft, although very different. The first one we've got is the AS33 glider. Now this is a quirky little glider, and if you go on flightsim.to you'll realise there's 8 gliders to choose from. This one stands out to me. It's got a little engine, a little electric propeller. This means you can actually take this glider off from runways without the use of a winch or a tow plane. However, this also has the ability to sort of launch itself up with a fake winch. Of course, Microsoft Flight Sim doesn't have them just yet, so this is as best as it gets. Great animations, a really nice flight model, although I find it very easy to overspeed in it. And of course it's got that quirky little propeller. If you want to cheat with gliders, just use slew mode, put yourself to 8,000 feet and see how long you can stay up for. It's a great little glider, I really do recommend it. It's one of the better ones out there, and of course being freeware you really can't complain. It also has the ability to release smoke, which is pretty cool, good for some displays. Now finally moving on to number 9. We've got the C17 Globemaster. Now I have featured this one on my channel before, but I haven't featured it in a top 10 add-on video like this, so I thought it deserves a place. This has moved on greatly over the last few months. Initially I didn't recommend it at all, I thought it was a bit rubbish, but they're certainly working on it in a way that makes it pretty good now. Now the cockpit is still subpar, it doesn't look great but it works, but the external model is fantastic and the flight model is also pretty good with sounds coming along nicely. It also includes 4K textures and a bunch of liveries to go along with that. Some great effects, some great animations, from wingtip vortexes to of course landing smoke. It is really beautiful, and some custom autopilot suites as well. It's worked on by Destroyer121 and his team, and I do recommend it. It's great fun. You can put this aircraft through its paces. Now finally we move over to a really popular add-on, and if you haven't seen this one, you probably haven't been keeping up on my channel, so I'm going to recommend it here. It's great fun. It's the Airbus A330-900 Neo, of course a wide body Airbus. Now initially this one wasn't great, but now it's moved on so far and it's almost unrecognisable from where it began. It's a great big aircraft, carrying up to 287 passengers, this variant anyway, and it feels great on Microsoft Flight Sim. It uses some of the fly-by-wire A330NX systems, so you know you're getting a pretty good standard here, and it looks great from the outside. Of course the new Condor liveries really do stick out, it looks great coming into Frankfurt. Now there are a few bugs people are reporting. I personally don't see them, but apparently there's a bug with autopilot, but knowing the team, it will be worked on as soon as possible. It's a really good aircraft. The only thing I would say here is if you're watching and listening to the noise, ignore it. Microsoft Flight Sim sometimes has a few bugs with recording tools which I use to basically play back my flights, so you should hear an engine noise but you're not here. The A330-900 Neo is a must-have in your Microsoft Flight Sim hangar. It's a beautiful wide-body airliner. There we have it guys, 10 add-ons you need for Microsoft Flight Sim in 2022. We're over halfway through the year now, so it's been really great to see a lot of these add-ons develop. It's certainly a golden age for add-ons in Microsoft Flight Sim. I just hope it continues. From me today, that is all. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you haven't enjoyed, be sure to like, comment and subscribe anyway. You might as well, you're here. Last thing I want to say, if you want to see what I use to fly, film and edit, check out my Amazon affiliate links down below. But from me today, that is all. I'll see you around. Goodbye.